Degradation growth is terminally unsustainable. The combined effect of ecological disasters, overwhelming defects, causing extinction, and sustained paradigms going upward 20 post-growth destiny, prevent climate change, book of evidence, favor degrowth, prevent transgressing ecological typicals out there, some industrial revolution is uncertainty, problem from carbon context of Earth system crisis, growth with ecological regeneration impacts, deforestation, poverty, soil, air, and water pollution, decoupling, ignore, importing data analysis, embedded inputs, no decoupling, trends show no evidence, and most of the decoupling was optimistic, fail, rebound effect, lead to increased consumption, need to occur fast enough studies suggest it will be impossible to be 1.5 target in context of growth, other boundaries may be overshot, absolutely decoupling is staggering in novelty, warming causes extinction, feedback loops and tipping points, overwhelm defects, Camp 22, climate as essential, global catastrophes have rise exceeds, targets self-amplifying changes make it impossible to limit hot risk worsen with food, extreme heat, extreme systems, extreme weather transitions, all concerns are very high, large irreversible changes, ice sheet, lost tipping points, feedbacks beyond the climate, cascade, conflict, disease, political change, downward outbreaks, financial crises, collapse of societies, wars over SRAM, inequality, misinformation, weapons, and overshoot shocks, solar flares, volcanoes, follow on effects and flame all other threats to growth through black swans, of course, geoengineering, arms races, civil code, impacts on security, challenge to proliferate terror, economic damages reach trillions per year, deteriorating security and health, aggregate water, food, and the security, disease, epidemics, and starvation, after a multiplier risk climate technologies, the next climate geoengineering options, avoid coordinated action, solar geoengineering to buy time for mitigation, extinction, environmental effects, and nuclear war bans are impossible, civil code, and weaponization, hostile deployment, route to conflict deployment cause dead zones, affected food supply, governments cannot be trusted, kill, act to default water scarcity, fast, dirty, and cheap weapons. There's little governance or control to stop the mechanism to deal with conflicts. The UN and conflict prevention are weak with no binding power. NMOD forbids modification, but it is unlikely to stop if you are going to suffer from climate. And you have one chance to work care of the states are unlikely to worry about repercussions. Indians, Russians, and Chinese, and North Koreans. Russia spraying aerosols in the Arctic. US response, carbon capture, lose capacity for development and great stress, will over impacts on a geopolitical hotspot, miscalc, inverted third world war, India, Pakistan, conflict, arms races, and proxy wars. We will see military conflict countries being adversaries independently. Corporate dominance cannibalizes regulation, ensuring catastrophic tech spirals. Out of hand, Albert 20 tech provokes systemic chaos, causes expanding the economy, accelerates creating background, intensifies several such new vulnerabilities in infrastructure, incipient IoT, key outcomes, device point entry to the overall network from states, criminal orgs, or terrorists of immense powerful surveillance and militarization, includes nanobots and powerful cam and new weapons, informational omniscience become extensive and intensive and relied on to achieve decoupling, generate insecurity and securitization, global north with mobility violence likely create violence over attacks, fear, catalyze intensive securitization, military of absolute speed and reach through space and air, mobilized with a legal pretext, being trying making it through global security apparatus versus need for a rate growth, not entirely abandoning tech rather than private sector initiatives, changes needed to enhance democratic control post growth based on common wealth, create a global economy that needs to be used within planetary boundaries without ecological collapse, civilizational breakdown, and global tech authoritarianism. Chemical attacks cause extinction. January 18, humanity annihilated by chemical weapons may tend to be wiped out. New tech may be impossible in our anti-chemical world. Consequences can say globally, one incident will be too many chemical warfare since that existence compared with other means. Chemicals attack cheap and tech advanced make it easier. 3D printing causes global war. K-15 3D printing has potentially be history repeating itself. The Great War was the end to end all wars, encapsulated all Europe and the majority of the world in non-conflict building alliances, created a powder keg that resulted in the latest wars in history. 3D printing burst striking resemblance. The US must take preemptive measures. There was IPO find itself in Great War. Cyber war would go nuclear and cause extinction. Bonus 18 new nuclear war in which fatal error rather than intentional aggression is most likely cause nuclear catastrophe. Human error are compounded by deliberate sabotage. Hackers instant cross warning in a time of tensions, little communication between officers, only minutes of decision. Cyber attacks will greatly increase risk of miscalculation, blunder, and pursuit from global disaster. It drives zoonotic disease or a pandemic that inflicts huge economic damages. 70% of packages are zoonotic meat consumed per person. Double livestock spread packages drives meat demands. While market trade, climate change, deforestation, intensive farming, spread deadly pandemic. 60% of forests have vanished. Packages can mutate quickly, which can be dangerous due to the lack of immunity. The way to tackle pandemics is achieve environmental sustainability. Disease cause extinction. Marcus 20 food drive. And also, true coefficients is across the oceans, the kind of algae may lead to extinction. Geopolitical tensions are seen with conflicts on water and energy resources, nuclear arms, and crises interlinked, and associated entities to risk and made from conjunction. That do not committee, but together do pandemic turn attention away from society will be to frozen to keeping it from reacting to our crises. And essentially, condition factors lead to cross the point to a world completely uninhabitable by humans. Global fragmentation and future crises make economic crash and upward Yeshiva. 23 cooperation and retreat of world's winnings in fragmentation, national security consideration, job losses, and inequality through protectionism. Another pandemic depression related to crisis, military conflict through some markets, coming is introducing shocks. Debt spreading sustainability risk fragmentation can reduce GDP by 7% in 2019. Countries impose 1,000 restrictions on trade compared to 3,000 fragmentation can disrupt markets and create food and energy insecurity. The United States federal government should adopt the federal jobs guarantee financed by fiscal policies designed to facilitate degrowth. A degrowth job guarantee is crucial to shift the social fabric of society, reduce production and consumption. 20 voluntary opportunity not viable without a changing lifestyle. Precarity of no choice to trade money for climate change becomes a prerequisite to its provision of economic security. DCHG will reduce productivity if implemented as a 3-hour work week. A shorter work week will help to retain changing workers, and change can relocalize the economy. This means local work reduce community energy consumption, care increase invisible, change can increase accountability to care, such as raising children, caring for the elderly, and serving as a companion. Children offers potential to reduce production, consumption, and the main change may catalyze the sharing economy. The guarantee prioritizes ecological practices. HICO 21 to keep warming under 1.5 nations. Need to cut emission at 10% per year. Progressive job guarantee would end unemployment and ensure livelihood, solving the immediate crisis. We need to ramp up renewable energy. We need to restore the ecosystem, expand public transportation, and shift to regenerative farming where paying living wage. We can not only put an end to poverty, this should shake the bargaining power of labour and reduce inequality. We've had difficulties on coal mines because of employment. This is why governments pay all oil companies and airlines to put mass layoffs. The degrowth job guarantee supplants the private sector. HICO 20 people have access to job guarantee to use work and access high quality services to why on earth when they ever agree to do unnecessary or degrading labour for private firms. Job guarantee is vital to constrain downsides of degrowth transitions. Mazzucato and Sagasti 20 no guarantee against resumption of financial orthodoxy to establish a job guarantee to ensure that human capital is then wasted or erode attention to the direction of growth to the playing field for new projects, etc. To drive private investment, unit breaker, being decreasing negative multiplier down to decreasing positive multiplier for any up to smooth transition requiring public sector job program to generate a sustainable tax return cutting the active promoting important augments the wider community or unemployed have less income to job and inbuilt stability stabilize the active reduce fluctuation public employment constitute a power for countercyclical stabilizer, aligning a job guarantee with progressive fiscal policy, not to degrowth. 21 the importance of fiscal policy and the tax system for promoting environmental architecture. The past reinforces unsustainability. Systemic change must be accompanied by a change in the tax system. A tax can reflect all externalities. Weighting is not an option. VAT, income tax, corporate tax can be reshaped to promote transition with subsidies and tax benefits in favor of sustainable activities. This will substantially and progressively increase the tax rate. U.S. degrowth goes global. Lockdown country. When the U.S. economy sneezes, the rest of the world catches the money at best. Times any setback in the US have major implications for the rest of the global economy, with these so far from best, especially since the Chinese is confronted with a host of challenges. Degrowth at home opens the possibility for economic diplomacy abroad meaningfully. What foreign policy will look up with the socialist White House been a weapon? America's ocean has been to transfer the US uses its power by allowing and buying access to their economy loans that forgives tax havens, currency inflation, not left out and left admin can make aid contingent on a redistributing the agenda or the environment cover taxes alone, increase budgets, competitive sustainable policies, transformation, home build up more legitimacy of its economy. The US increases sensibility to advance to provide pressure to American change the economy so out to embrace only through diplomacy when any environmental impact be achievable. No cost to be paid by the US if it does not use economic power, funding companies should reward loans and corporations and migrants. Go back to growth. Debt traps cause economic catastrophe. Greenspan 23. Debt trap is social catastrophe. Making debt trap unsustainable. The flow of crisis threatens the world economy. The situation deteriorated during the pandemic. Debt ballooned by $2 trillion, raising interest rates. Exacerbates the problem progression rates by amplifying increasing depreciation as well as increasing borrowing costs. That's eating a large piece of national resources. Private credit CPs engaged in restructuring world access to with debt and content geopolitical and climate distress is its biggest threat to peace and financial stability. China's debt, deflation, slow growth, low confidence. BT 11, 12. China's economy edge into deflation. Policymakers struggle to reignite demand during the property crisis and after pandemic control China's growth. The lowest in decades, low confidence prices fell a boom, but second China was suffering from deflation and real assets and wages exports drop manufacturing contracting.
Before class, could I get the computer charging thing figured out? Because that thing doesn't work.
There's some outlets behind you.
I know, but these ones are impossible to open. That's possible.
I'm not getting you a Lunchable from Walmart.
Damn, did you have to say that? Alright, you good?
Yes.
Okay, how's the plan funded?
Fiscal policies.
What fiscal policies?
These are taxes designed to facilitate degrowth.
Okay, what's the wage?
What's the what?
Wage.
The wage of the job guarantee. Normal means is a living wage.
Living wage. Okay, depends on the area, I suppose.
Say that again.
It depends on where they live.
Is it adjusted to the cost of living?
Yeah.
Living wages, I think they are usually. I'm not quite sure.
And can the wage change?
Yes, it changes
Okay.
based on.
The 3D printing scenario, Kane is extremely vague. Why does it cause global war?
The Kane evidence says that it creates global instability. It was also
how? It says a lot of things. It has the potential to make history repeat itself. What specifically about 3D printing do you think?
3D printing can be used to create all sorts of weapons that destabilize countries, cause civil strife, as well as
Can it create
war
nuclear
across
weapons?
borders. What was that?
Can 3D printing create nuclear weapons?
It can draw in nuclear weapons for sure.
Okay, sure. What's the difference between zoonotic disease and regular disease?
Zoonotic diseases are ones that originate from animals.
And do they spread differently, or?
They are more virulent because humans have no contact with it originally, and our evidence indicates that they would evolve in manners that are both virulent and deadly, that overcome traditional
That makes
diseases.
sense. The Greenspan evidence, people have been in massive debt for decades. Why is now key?
It says that recently debt is accumulating and reaching a threshold that is going to collapse economies.
Okay, sure. The second advantage, how do degrowth jobs shift the mindset of people in Silicon Valley or Wall Street?
The combination of the taxes and job guarantee forced the transition. The taxes would make growth highly prohibitive, which would eliminate profit from the economy. The job guarantee would maintain quality of life and transition jobs away from traditionally economically productive ones to ones that prioritize social and ecological good.
Okay. The Lockman evidence, what do you think the warrant is here for degrowth going global?
It's empirically proven when America's economy slows down, it forces other countries to slow down as well because of trade.
Yeah, I mean, slow down, sure, but I mean, degrowth, restructuring the economy, etc.
Yeah, degrowth is a slowdown but forced and permanent, which we argue would have an even bigger impact on other countries' economies, forcing China, Russia, our allies' economies to slow as well.
Okay, the Ringsmith evidence, where do you think this says people want degrowth? It says people want human protection on top of profit.
I skipped that card.
Okay, sure, that's fine.
Alright, once it's being said, 8, degrowth, transition.
Where are you standing? Can we borrow the Gil's stand? We know where you're. Peninsula.
I'm good.
The implication of death depicts his necrophilian obsession with body counts and extinction, but next to reject that as Prevent 21. No, necrophilian is obsession with dead, passion to destroy the exclusive, intimate, mechanical, biophilist, attention to life, enjoy necrophilia is pathological, connected to what's causes war, fury, of destruction, and bureaucratic administrative people, as things that no orientation makes a life soulless, having existing relations. In the world is possessing necrophilia, to find violence and dark and more life, and eternal life, and things and everything that is governed like a Roman. Next up. Physical redistribution is the process of moving resources from one group to another via tax and transfer. That's for now. 12 to achieve redistribution of collect taxes, expenditures, cash transfers, collecting the taxes, making expenditures change. Environmental distribution, making income to post taxes, secondary distribution, impact of taxation, spending, violation, they don't do a tax, allowing the act to only transfer exposed the topic to include any policy that spends money that makes quality net ground and clash possible with any barely any core next generic failure. To specify agent is a litigation for a clash of fairness, identifies as a mechanism of decides and counterparts. Next off. The 50 states and relevant territories should adopt federal job guarantee finance by fiscal policy to design a facility degrowth. Next up, the United States federal judiciary ought to hold the constitutional guarantees compel adopting a federal job guarantee finance by fiscal policy design a facility degrowth. It solves appeal on 12 of the court was eventually but federal redistribution scheme unleashed by the Constitution with no measure of responsibility for shaped by the human redistribution complaints with the demise of the enumerated power of the courts put face with the political assets and New Deal and the court carved the lesser rights and the elite to the transaction economic regimes or immune from scrutiny in the pure politics.
Timer froze. Does anyone have?
Do you all know where we were?
It was 6:50.
650, right?
651, something like that.
Okay. 650. Okay, starting on the next song.
The United States federal government ought to adopt a federal jobs guarantee financed by fiscal policies designed to facilitate degrowth, subject to a judicially imposed sunset that requires review with the possibility of renewal, alteration, or termination every 25 years. That solves against this. 14. The sunset of constitutionality, rule of law, and colored access to public accessibility, more predictable rule of law. The development of regime and discussions in the constitutional sense and improvement from the leading public actors in order to affairs in compliance with the government policies, rest assured the programs remain stable and adds key to global stability. That's Tyson. 22. The court remains persistent with the widespread and underscored alarming jobs and checks and balances towards authoritarianism and the dark level ahead of the differences in influence. should be solution to disinformation, corruption of the world, integrated shows that divergence becoming annexation. That's in 20 climate crisis, nuclear warning, authoritarianism, and human life is what we're facing. In the second summit with the shift in the spread of nuclear warning, environmental catastrophe, and the deterioration of democracy, and hope for dealing with the existential crisis, the extinction, democracy engaged with the informed, democracy and with the informed citizens, developing programs, in the Trump's reactionary, in international Bolsonaro, in Brazil, CC Modi, destroying Indian secular democracy, all right. Sure, keep up the PDD net benefit. Sure. Next up. The United States federal government should adopt fiscal policy designed to facilitate degrowth, seize bailouts of coal and oil companies, close all coal mines, expand public transportation, publicly recommend shifts of regenerative farming, establish governance requirements for solar radiation management, allowing the deployment only if deemed necessary by climate extra support, and deploy carbon capture, storage, and sequestration, and guarantee employment to all current members of the armed forces upon completion of service, collaborate, and within incentivize the private sector to significantly expand job creation programs, particularly if in the agriculture and energy sectors, finance, as you mentioned, and fully resource with the technology governance, and commit to a planned transition with the steady state economy that solves as 21 that the government attempt to stimulus into high rates and the business with this low economy defaults and the bubble will collapse and stock prices out and the bonds fall and proposals and paper and lose the value of trade with keeping electricity in difficult times and it competes as payments 18 the overall between the job guarantee the plantations on the investment as stabilization and making the implement the high rate through the developing and the job creation investment of the growth and service owning infrastructure and the firm fails as state 18 the jobs guarantee would be harder to recruit with the working class and combat the military and contribute to choose better jobs and leaving the employers permanently in the shortage by the labor market in the military is attractive option the benefits and motivation give the better option likely to exist in working backgrounds greater predictable jobs guarantee can put it down in the army annexation that's bond 17 the U.S. should not continue the extremist movements in the destabilized region with the deployments of troops. You know, people to wait with Russian invasion if he had a conflict in the counter-offensive nuclear. Russia would send a reinforced South Korea might collapse due to chemical and bio-encounter to the North Elmu so requires significant ground forces. Courts. PQD blocks drones as Hawkeye 17 the court dismissed the challenge legality of the campaign against political question doctrine down to compare with regards to the plaintiffs and raising what the other concerns are drone measures the last administration drone sex and political question and new war that's boiled 13 countries UAV technology and knowledge with video radical shaped by the drones and drones surveillance and Lucas and over the different religion and magnified versus as well there's accident competition pushing together with Russian impulse coming to the international regulated and opportunity to show leadership. Next up. A successful bargain on Ukraine now, that's Washington Post. 12-19, the labor Murphy's and appear to be working in good faith and Biden said the legislation to fund Ukraine and Grand Bargain, etc. People the Biden is willing to make any significant concessions. Biden willing to sit back and say Trump said denied. Biden victory deal on Biden 16 to bring the parties together and already contended with the product legislative calendar and deal within 30 days span. The Biden maintains a district conversation with the optimum manner. Biden's UP leadership approved that Biden to save life and it splits Congress as lowering $18 million political fight with not to figuring out the jobs and we had moving answer key questions and we need to pay for the benefits in the trade-off and political capital and seems stable. You give a job guarantee for the flu. So I think Democrats don't need every development policy. And other side of it, I have no interest in Republicans unlikely to get on board. With the can't support it. Annexation. That's Charlotte 22. The surrender to increase possibility of war in Washington 7. By something supplies and reusing probably good demands. Surrender west up there. Either must go to one with miscalculating use the midst of the nuclear war and success. And encourage the other nuclear ability in Israel. China and North Korea would and would provoke the victims of Russia and acquire nuclear arms in South Korea, Taiwan, Japan, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and others would see the precipitate accidental war on terrorism exponentially given the Russian demands might actually increase the interest of the war. Next up. Recent U.S. commitment to SOCO now that's on 23 Washington Declaration now says during the extended assurance that SOCO and NCG and nuclear power acknowledged realize the U.S. and reaffirmed commitments to the NPT Declaration counter-squad with their developed the nuclear weapons and coordination with the NCG and the North Korean concerned with its way the U.S. defense community don't pursue the concrete U.S. efforts to reinforce the nuclear ability for the SOCO and U.S. interests and degrowth slashes it. That's Burton 23 degrowth applied to the military degrowth the production and production and applied to the national defense and with the non-offensive defensive incompatible with the nuclear and the deterrence facing out the offensive weapons nukes only by the degrowth the military cut the military and the spending with these money and fossil fuels have been in the military must be replaced and that escalates as Symbala 23 is unstable CMC and the nuclear so to be joined with the nationalist hostility leaders with the objectives of road testing and accidental deliver escalation and perceived under attack on the deficient indicators the hostile powers in the first analysis combination with the nuclear and separate escalation and nuclear tests with the stability unleashing our proliferation to fall in the Middle East with a high probability of this WMD with the intelligence that many states have gone to war on the faulty assessment of the nuclear war in Asia places to and deliberate war strike in the fears of preventive war and even escalation without the conventional war and accidental malfunction needed to prevent coercion against the allies and withdrawal increase the risk of war. Growth is sustainable data screen that settlement 23 research publishing the beyond air sanitation waste of value fisheries climate pollution water agriculture research found the positive correlation between performance in GDP countries with the highest economic freedom and the highest scores high fishery with the greater technology prosperity objection in the case of the best now high standards 0.1% of low standards due to the environment and warming will be gradual that's way 21 possible we're certainly exaggerating we're going to go dooms about ability powerful models exaggerate the environment and high casting several times faster the forecast work is serious and likely incentives and catastrophic and forecast for decades come to the catastrophe in the next writers and catastrophe forecast and IPC report for the prediction include the natural variability, include job assimilating decadal variability in the next decades with the focus, the government growth with the same direction, innovation, transformation already, innovation will intensify, and nuclear class extinction. That's Smith. 20 recent computer simulation indicate that even limited word of cause nuclear isotopes of crop failure in the country with circular around the economy and the bomb, reduce the cascading collapse of the grid and nuclear reactor would burn out of fuel and melt into 50. Turtles result in a widespread contamination of most of the planet would like to be the Hobson survival balance become a way of life and no pollution. That's Carranza. 18 excessive chemical pollution and atmospheric aerosol loading with suggestion that power the doubtful and the poison are subject to extinction, increase well, clean up the air and the water, and reduce pollution in the economy, Spain, more severe than environmental damage is more likely to decline and also recognize causes of global events in the media, increase the governance again, before catastrophe, and no cyber deaths. Lewis 20. Non-state actors and states lack the capability to damage unless catastrophe enough uncertainty about the action to be unwilling to pursue a retaliation committee has died in December and at least do quit them and nuclear. Opponents have no interest in the catastrophic attack and improve equal retaliation, inadvertent escalation, and very controlling history, and limit the risk of absolute control of the advanced states of Russia, China with the increased US, Iran, and the armed conflict. North Korea has no capability and no disease that's housed at 19 pathogens, or unlikely to cause extinction 200,000 years exterminate, and the evidence is well with the outbreak of coupled in extinction over the Iraq, native increasing immunity, increasing exposure, mark that card at too low, and 3D printing, no impact, that's like 14, the best device you're gonna have to access anything greater than plastic jury. It's hard to imagine that mass manufacturing and leave the domain. All the industrial implants we need to consider the research to come over to that. The actual blessed thing you need to do is one little company mark that card. It has been now transition, no spillover. That's California 15. The interdependence is impossible to degrowth the country with it on scale to produce every consumption elsewhere. And 99 says no, that's the myth. 21 degrowth is impossible. Never if you future were actually projected degrowth and required in poverty. Most need to convince that 86% income need to produce political put suicide people in decline of living standards. Smith, mark that card at is non-starter reduction.
You said about copy?
Yeah, sure.
Good.
It's sent. Yeah, I'm good.
Can you take breaks?
You sure?
Yes.
Can you read 2 and C counterplans?
Depends on the 2AC.
Can you only read it in response to add-ons?
Again, depends on the 2AC.
Alright. What evidence says that America's military is strong enough to deter these threats now?
What? Well, I mean, it's not a military general scenario, it's about recruitment specifically. I assume you're asking about that DA.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our bonds evidence indicates that when we have stronger troop numbers, that shows that
What evidence says
demonstrates that
recruit
we can
numbers?
outmaneuver them.
What evidence says that recruit numbers are high now?
Well, we'll read uniqueness evidence in the block if you say recruitment low
Okay.
now. Obviously, that isn't in the 1C yet.
Do
But we also
you
have
read
evidence
this
about
as what evidence says that this aid package is necessary?
If you make that argument, we can read specific evidence, but I think our uniqueness evidence substantiates pretty well that now is key for providing them additional funding to sustain the war effort.
No, the uniqueness card just says that it's
Well, it highlights the importance of Biden brokering a deal with moderates in the House. I think that's sufficient.
why did previous aid not solve this?
Because aid needs to be sustained in order to be effective. Obviously, we think past aid was good, but if we cut off supply completely, that'll embolden Russia to escalate, and we think that's
Look
bad.
at net benefits.
Counterpoint net benefits, courts is internal
and politics.
politics. Sunsets internal
And politics.
politics.
Then the recruitment counterplan just recruitment DA.
So politics is not a net benefit.
To recruitment, no.
Okay. The assurance is that when we read evidence that says that non-South Korean East Asian allies are not proliferating now, or are you sure?
We're not proliferating now.
Yeah.
Well, okay. That evidence can be read in the block, but it's pretty clear that
Well, at
these
least I'm
allies,
sure now.
like these allies care about the NPT. They're not just going to violate it for no reason. The plan gives them the reason to violate it, which is what the like.
The Burton card, how does this card describe the plan? It says that if the degrowth, like the first line is how can degrowth principles be applied to the military? The resolution is about fiscal redistribution, about degrowth
Well,
in terms of
you've made broader
economics. How
arguments.
does this apply?
I mean, yeah, you've made broader arguments about the mindset shift and like a reduction in things like 3D printing, things that can produce weapons of war. We think that is applicable to like our military development, which is the link.
The on card says that
The what card?
the on card.
Yeah, uniqueness.
It says that it seems to go affirmative. It says that
No, I disagree. The on card, if you look at the
enhanced U.S. South Korean nuclear cooperation
yeah, that's
results
our
in the
argument is that
potential
it dissuades
increase in North Korean
proliferation.
provocations. It says that when
Then the last
US
paragraph goes on to say that we need to continue reinforcing this partnership in order to give them assurances.
yeah, but it says that North Korean invasion or conflict is spurred by cooperation. How does this support the disadvantage?
What, I don't understand your question. It's like we have cooperation now. It's assuring them.
I'm sending it to you.
Can I do this first?
Yeah. I'll use it too.
See a sign. The order is Degrowth.
Okay. I'm good for the order.
Degrowth, transition, T, states, JC pick, critique, courts, commissions.
Wait, after critique, what?
After the critique is courts. Sunset. Ukraine. The South Korea disaster.
You know that order one more time.
Yeah. Degrowth, transition, T, states, the job guarantee pick, the critique, the courts counter plan, the sunset counter plan, the Ukraine aid dissent, the South Korea dissent. Is everyone good? Okay.
Growth, non-sustainable, the evidence system response to Chevin's paradox. This also is absolutely coupling, which means, climate change is existential now. Climate change defense is fossil fuel propaganda. Climate change causes food shortages, diseases, tipping points, which all culminate in extinction. Independently, you consider it causes geoengineering and wars, which go nuclear. They say no nuclear winter will concede that. They say pollution defense, that's unresponsive. Our argument is chemical weapons, which causes extinction because it's engineered. Cyber defense is unresponsive. Our evidence says that cyber attacks are increasingly likely now and withdrawing nuclear powers because it causes fog of war, disease. This defense assumes zoonotic diseases, which overcomes the transmissibility, virulence trade-off. The 3D printing defense is about medical 3D printing, not about guns, drones, bazookas, which are all 3D printed now, cause social strife and extinction. Independently, they conceded that growth is unsustainable and fragmentation will destroy the economy now, which means this is not unique. Transition. Yes, bill over a recession in the United States forces other countries to follow on, and the United States will also implement exit taxes and tariffs, which forces them to follow on. 99% don't say no because the evidence is assume a job guarantee, which is popular and improves quality of life. T. 1. We meet the plan specialized fiscal policies which are taxes, new violations or spin, just as new answers because we can't expect them. 3. 2. A-spec, yes, such as the agent further specification. It's the agent contents which are reason to reject the team that rob the apathy set to research normally means solves the offense. Condos voted fairness out to deters proliferation of overpowered contents. Quality of debates discourages offense obstructs testing costs of labor grounds, disposals, the state's content. Can't stop the app because the federal government is key, otherwise exemptions and strike down. We get new answers when they read songs. The app gets 2 leaks and that benefit. Biden will look ridiculous if you can't stop the stage 3. Uniform free to see the bad, not real world. And somebody is block recycling destroys Afghanistan. Uniform cells 4. Modeling feds to economic power is key. 5. Do both. GOC has follow on the GG pit. 1. Econ 101. Only a job guarantee can shift production. That's UNT and HICO. 2. Leaks and that benefit because it's destroyed the economy and the military to do all of those things. 3. Do content rate 15 JT. Promise to make a job available in any qualifying individual qualifications, including age, gender, income, education, residence, synonymous. General program provided universal JT. 4. Provision do the plan and combination of planks. 5. The collapse economy planks fail because our 1EC evidence says that the transition has been planned, and the last plank is clearly object fiat because it does not describe a policy that can actually do so. Anything else causes poverty and inequality and causes backlash, which links to transition wars offense. We've impacted into engineering, which means that doesn't solve. JT is key to environment, disease, food, infrastructure, stability, cross-funding work, physical and sexual health, care, food, public chances, capitalism, ability to organize production has gone haywire back to consumer mean nothing. Society needs to produce the goods, people must buy deciding. Unless we producers up to markets that are failing us. And get so substitute for workforce organized by the public means only federal government has the power, a job guarantee. The program could both organize large national public projects that have responded. The coronavirus overlapping production challenges, healthcare, testing, universal preparations if we had public works, infrastructure, cascade, extinction, insurance, office, parliament, 15, conduct in human civilization. Partially portable and connected to reinforcing risk that can spread and spill over in critical infrastructure. Failure to cascade infrastructure damage may trigger social cops out of proportion to nature disruption, cause great death. Effective healthcare solves bioterror, extinction, something health. Security reduces virus, biowar, or pandemics, prevent pandemics. Mitigation would be effective regardless of whether the outbreak originates naturally, deliberately detected, characterized. Helps fast track health, strengthening. Healthcare would mitigate all types of accidental risks to include bioterror, reduce risk 1 million times more effective. No link to recruitment, dissad, and content fails. Go 22, lack of eligible, increased stress, military, increase instead of jobs, strong job market, leading factors of troubles, deepest challenge to chronic economy, less critical post, sugar to good economic times, and bad, market caught it bad. There's also no uniqueness for the recruiting is collapsing out, Iran 10-2, leaders from the army, Navy, Air Force reported their recruitment goes by thousands, market card at thousands. A litany of global systemic stresses make nuclear use inevitable. Robertson 23. Nuclear states must reduce arsenals, reserve stages of action, water hiding, fix access to threat for nuclear proliferation, taboo, total breakdown of spiritual China, Pakistan, North Korea, Middle East, precious is limited public pressure, reduce access to threat to nuclear weapons pose as weapons remain in existence, highly likely they will be used by design, human error, speculation, human judgment, anyone use will be catastrophic, kill 5 billion people, cause extinction of humanity, only guarantee of non-use is a complete abolition, politics is a crime, disarmament as naive fantasy, just perspective, blind, questionable assumptions, including the nuclear weapons can exist without being used. The two-tier system can be indefinitely maintained. There is a political, strategic, security, moral case for doubling efforts to secure meaningful nuclear disarmament. The bomb turned the world into a prison in which humanity awaits its execution. The job guarantee pick failed. Can't solve the app because our evidence says a universal job guarantee is necessary, and propping up the military means that it solves none of the app. The critique. 1. Favorite grade, you have to need links to the pen, anything else is non-resolution, which you expand is to class 2, do both, degrow, and reject ethic packs, 3, day link, proof content reason, reject achievements, hypocrisy, and manifest violence, 4, link, turn the outside representations, breed apathy, and motivation for anti-capitalism. The quotes content. 1. Say no, bridges 22, provide us minimum items, anything advocates, socialist, partisans, leaders, the more God, the future, yes, man. 2. Feel support that is key to infective forces, central 12, standing, doing something over and over, expecting different results performing. Agency fail, few inspectors, writers use cooking, has sex with oil representatives, Mike, Ricardo, oil representatives. 3. Do the compound data pan, should have the future, Brown. 8. Should look to the future, the worst consider future possible events. 4. Do both. 5. Do compound, should, 6. 1 instance is insufficient spillover. 7. No evidence that the courts will actually strike down drones and it's dumped. 8. No impact because the F solves it, and no evidence to say it causes nuclear war. Ukraine. 1. Other measures solve nuclear studies by implementing ways without capital officials capturing interest in Russian assets, 100% 21 million rounds considering an existing grant program. 2. Issues of compartmentalized stocks, 21 divert from Biden's. Next push, Biden ability to focus the transition gives optimistic isolated retraction testament disciplines of say on how would election get on top of search and manage appropriately. 3. Biden is using PC solid. 12, 13. Biden yet to use PC in main way remove House support to Ukraine. 4. No impact both 22 community victory period future but holding an option of how Beijing closely neither labor nor automatically partial orders and completion of values response to Ukraine suggest many pressures failed papers had based policy in region. The economy is a failure. 5. Do both politics is not intrinsic. 6. PR solves plans passed with an overwhelming majority which solves backlash. The sunset compound. 1. Do compound. 2. Perm to depend compound over fiscal policies. 3. Perm to depend and develop the sunset. 4. Compounds can be textually functionally solves block protecting process. Compounds is most precise. 5. Perm to compound down depend. 6. No spillover. Other pieces of sensitization and picture act. 7. Do both. 8. Say no across the spectrum above. 9. Durability picks are voted search and immediate not just not durable, which is impossible to run deficits. 2. 8. No rule of law impact causes interventions. 17. Advancing Israel sought not to wait the peace when the U.S. but intervention was through Gaddafi, associates with Libya, and see more response to Israel, creating more peace in the world and engine for conflict. Prolific stuff. Wait, can you get the next slide? 1. No South Korea prolific 23 billion nuclear arsenal requires national nature reaction that would negatively affect all facets of South Korea and Africa. That gave South Korea inventory plutonium uranium have to repurpose civilian reactors like years new weapons facilities testing where countries strong domestic opposition to potential workers integrate warheads into delivery systems. Assembly is not giving without help most strange than anything else. 2. Degrowth. 2. Korea wars unlikely. 2. No East Asian prolific. Moon 21. The nuclear arms not likely. Japan and South Korea are committed in a non-nuclear. Observe monitoring lack of full confidence. ED fear of sanctions. The economy and atomic industry eruption in alliance with the U.S. and dangerous arms and areas. Determining Japan's peace, constitution, non-nuclear principles and reliance on American security prevent Japan's armament taboos deeply rooted in Japanese society. So society for preventing coalitions opposed to armament. 3. No link. The evidence is about describing degrowth applied to the military, which is not the F4. Continuing economic and military strength and bonus. U.S. start frontal wars guaranteeing full-scale nuclear war. Austrian through full-scale nuclear war would be catastrophic. One of the U.S. be strong as policy expressive one weak. It becomes peace loving after war with the U.S. considers a strong carry out Korea, isolate China due to Vietnam. The U.S. the last aggressive policy symbolized by Nixon's visit to Hunt with U.S. are having recovered the U.S. returned to aggressive policy in the Reagan. $7 blow to the economy as a result. The U.S. began to emphasize cooperation, but as the U.S. recovered became aggressive while meeting trade war. Road to jumping militarism and German fascism in war today. If the U.S. suffers defeats, it will now move to front wall. Exactly.
Just only question. What's reason to trigger 13?
Honda, 50 state, ancient counterplans, and perf con.
Yeah.
And durability picks.
Durability.
That's
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take the rest of them.
Can perhaps starting now. On GG pick, you didn't read the food add-on, right? Or the food impact card?
No.
Okay. Stop at 6:55.
Hey y'all, I'm just gonna let this ride because I didn't know what was going on, but your cross-sex just turning into prep isn't a thing. Yeah, not a smirk either.
My bad. Alright, standing up. Okay, now get started. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Order, Def K, the advantage, the JG pick, then transition.
Decay, growth, decay, transition.
Yep. Good. Peninsula.
Yeah.
Framework combined core advantage justification part of the plan that flex outweighs. They broke new cards and the topic is huge. Each area has no limit. They sense of thumb. The structure has some topic choice and last speech persuasion. Our interpretation is fair to exclude picks out of random portions of the 1AC depth as a core feature of the case independently that could erupts advantage and include offense on the justification discourse analysis as proper role of the judge. The case is hypothetical but death culture never produces material consequences here. That's Bjork. The only impact we debate is what we learn from it. There's no impact to fairness and it trains participants to celebrate suffering plain focus. It makes this force argue is the ultimate purpose of debate. The reducing out of 1 minute after C to 4 seconds means that we never defend the language choices crushing ability to persuade. It also justifies racist and sexist language. That's a voting issue. The case is not often indicated against the plan death is the impact of all advantages. If rejected, there's no reason to affirm the Egon presumption. Finally, you can agree that the plan is a good idea. You vote next to reject the framing as a justification to prior action. That's all. It's not necessary to the plan and implementation. And Egon affirms the positive orientation towards life to receive to do both. Links to the K includes one disease litigation of death. If not severance, litigation for intellectual responsibility and automatic critical education. Combination fields with the pathological nature of necrophilia overrides care for life. Outright rejection is necessary. Framework arguments prove that there is no benefit. The outcome of the plan is relevant. Now, no 3C3, no Profcon. Or even if not a given alternative, we call it into question the 1AC's use of death impacts they can justify it. They still lose under their own standard. It can be offensive against reactionary. Winning this means that you reject all death impacts, which is most consistent, and still results in an act valid because of presumption. They denied us the choice of avoidance that is impacted by our testimony evidence below. Profcon is good and one flexibility. The efforts are modern and most of the 2AC negation theory means that the negative needs to disprove the case to testing. They avoid exploring new ideologies, ensure dogma that kills education. Rejecting the contradiction is arbitrary, no bright line. And we think that's because they spoke first, doesn't justify sermons again in prep and to vigorously advocate the plan. If we're truly inconsistent, then the conceded double turn now. The link in invoking death impacts reflects debate obsession with body counts and pathological necrophilia that is indifferent to life and grace to make the world controllable. That outweighs fascination with death turns people into objects and renders instruments of destruction fascinating. Our impacts come first, hardening states, necrolysis, and relation. Remissions on body and breast for those not considered death is disembodied humanization. There's non-normative fixation in humanity. The life through the left commodified social death and never ceases to change. Moving by violence and knowledge production becomes simultaneous violence, causes larger systemic impacts. History and LSMT death matter, increased prejudice and stereotyping, avoid limiting secondly like stereotype African American, devolution of conflict, GTA, extension of authority, the psychological security, and development, and liberation agro, conflict, Christian, Russian, violence solutions, worth of God, solutions, turns, gates, Bjork, 93, death culture, destruction, disaster, assassination, one reach, that's a part of the game, ability to call consequences of discourse and ways of view, not the language to not change the world, but change our community, reflecting back from our concerns, studies confirm our impact, Van Dyke, et al. 11 persons, we're never doing the humanity reactions to what get game, up in research, revolution, violence, death, faculty, physical survival threat, illicit, similar responses, sexual threat from physical survival threat, powerful, not group suffering reps, the good or the empathy argument, one, this is uncorded, though one will be too new, too late, rejected because they had time to read the course of the 2AC, that's why for staying back, regardless, none of their arguments will assume competitive spaces or repetition through unrealistic hypotheticals, the evidence is about empathy, when confronted with societal images of suffering, not, or, hey, death culture and debate is bad, trauma does not persuade the public, but is exchanged for individual gains through balance, ritualistic repetition poisons the well, element 15, trauma specific through the dead, future, the government, dead represent repetition necessary to repetition necessary to consumer grassroots diet, empathy, non-relation persons, effect object, repetition with effects associated, artificial by mimetic appropriation. Now the regrowth advantage sustainability is irrelevant. We're not going for an econ good scenario or an econ good dissent and have impact defense shoulder scenarios. Now no warming scenario one is all causes all the countries and fossil lobbying to prevent global adoption, and it's also inevitable. They've dropped hidden warrant in the weight evidence that it's already past 2 degrees, which they have dropped. No new answers. Warming is also not existential. One is scale. The evidence assumes worst case scenario and is most likely that is least likely and exaggerates results for clips. The IPCC and UN ignore natural variability and temperature, which use results. 2 is adaptation. Decoupling is accelerating and behavioral change is solved. That's our weight evidence. Even if extreme warming does not cause extinction or 20, if extreme levels of extinction have less than we have the food use rest 100 meters. The past extinction of violet using medium level of eradication due to warming. Many stress level is reaches mango even with 20 degree warming. Coastal areas elevated reaches simple existential risk from calamity is very small. The scenario for war is warming hurting agriculture. Warming does not hurt ag. Kumi of 22. The shows production of the warming which I said yields after mixing our resources make the production like that and so we corn rice we blue climate conclusions about the impact of climate reduce manure crops facility wall and geoengineering no impact Irvine et al. 19 mixing chapter that will the model geo analysis locations examined G offsets cycle intensity, temperature availability, preservation accelerated when average IPCC region less than 0.4% of surface less acceleration. Now no chemical scenario, one is chemicals, one is government check, as we pollute more, and even if there's weapons, people producing weapons, as those pollute more, there's economic and political incentives to clean up and not strike down the people who do the chemical weapons to circular economies. As wealth increases, we invest more into environmentally friendly tech that also mitigates warming in the environment. Add on the other page, 3 is cancer bad pollution can get to islands that are completely globalized from the world like the North Centennial. Now, no 3D printing scenario, this will be the one and only. No cyber scenario. 5,000 cyber attacks every year, no impact, one, no motivation. Attacks reach the rule, and no one will risk retaliation, especially China and Russia. No co, etc. 2, no escalation. There's high degrees of controls and operational checks. 3, base, no one has died from cyber attack in history. Resilience solved. Lewis 20. Economies are more demanded to cyber attacks. Given the attention experience shows when people prepare, so people crumble, current resistance, hardened, production restored, more evidence. Veteran more less 18, coding since 20 times cyber conference retreat, the third infection hyper cyber attacks committed in, unless you're already connected to our traditional disagreements, low level campaigns, market campaigns, now no disease impact. Only one species in history was wiped out due to disease. There are checks, rapid vaccine advancements, and quarantines. Natural immunities also check, and appeared denied by COVID, Ebola, SARS, no extinction. And it also cannot get to islands like North Centennial that was from the defensive of infection and lethality trade-off over 20. Pathogens are likely to relate extinction and enter the North Centennial infection lethality, rare disease equivalent to 75%.
Ishan, can you start super quick?
What?
Obviously. I got Russell.
I have you at 2.
Yeah, I have myself at 2 and 1.
I just started playing it 1 second.
I think I have 2 bucks.
You know, I think you should maybe go to that.
Can I fill my water bottle and come back? Peninsula.
Pandemics to become less relevant as they regress civilization recover now. The GG pick, I'm only answering add-ons here. The rest of the flow will be the one and no environment impact. The current old 1990 scenario with the best. No separate this capacity model. Civilization will end on scientific suggestion findings. 2050, but takes a long time to see. Not grounded in science. Also warming defense applies here. No infrastructure scenario. Larson 18. British not about groups of capabilities to British England. Discovering target networks blackouts will not be network side of tailored tools. Operations will not be scaled. Localized when impossible, but scaling up is unlikely. Also tech systems because we had a great collapse there. The great access to Geo 18, it says only security, American grade 5, the board taking out the grid would be the collapsing thousands. What's up, talking about the great, it's red flag, you don't know what they're talking about, resilience, every aspect of honesty, no skill complex machine ever made, arcade, no more complex than person on the moon, no mark the part at moon, no barter impact, Jefferson at all 14, all of us, the first 20 seconds, in sequence process, the error porn sequences are extremely something, we also go to declining, secondary constructing fragment is not a functional story, complex, tactic on those would be limit genomes and database containers not elapsing sophistication is overrated. Jefferson at all 14 sophistication is overrated. The members in stuff is biologists and amateurs members the sequence of the rudimentary experiments have yet reach and oversight now the transition is not global making it possible to solve AI or other impacts globally. Countries that go domestically suffer severe international consequences. Asset evaluations, capital fight, institutional costs, and more. Even if the one he says it has impact on these things, it still makes you grow internationally popular. Two empirics prove. One of the emissions says that people expected US decline to go global during COVID, but the result was different. 3 countries like India have a GDP per capita 50k less than the US, and Brazil, etc. They have neo and incentives to degrow. Assurance is that has run wrong, right 20. The useful factor gets to expect these building and voted powers Russia's invaded, policy test boundaries, acquire nukes, and end up with terrorist experience that's actually the proximity, response times, escalation, Russian boundaries, and international will plunge into chaos.
I'll send it back. I'm sending the one in as well.
I'm good for Gus.
How will voting negative make it less likely that we read death impacts?
Well,
Death impacts?
the argument, so there's two levels of this. One is framework. It's about a model debate. Argument is that under our model debate and framework, you have had bad representations. I'm not sure what you.
Well, it seems like under your model of debate, negative teams are permitted to reproduce death impacts and do all of the same things.
So
and just read the death critique as well. Comment on that. How does that produce a model that is actually valuable and reduces these representations?
So I know you make PerfCon a big push in the 1 year. We'll answer it. But the main argument is you denied us the choice of avoidance. So the 1AC is the first.
Why not? Why can't the 1C just be the death cave? It's so true that we should never talk about that.
That's the point. The 1C's reading of death has zero impact because the moment the 1AC read death impacts, the impact occurred.
What? That makes zero sense.
That makes zero sense. This is supported by our testimony evidence.
Yeah, that means this death representation's impact occurs every day because we think about death every day. So it's already non-unique.
Okay. You had death reps inevitable in your 2AC block, but you skipped it. You don't get to say it new in the 1 year, regardless.
You obviously got 5 new cards, so it's a 1 shell K. We obviously got to expand upon our arguments.
Sure, yeah.
I also want to ask about.
Wait. Let me
No. I also want to ask about the death reps proper stuff.
Yeah.
Is your argument that we should never talk about that?
Is our argument that we should, in debate space, we should not use death as a currency to exchange wins.
Okay, so what's different about debate from other activities? And which evidence is specific?
Right. So in debate, we crave obsession with death because it provides us balance. Outside, death is always bad because, in whatever life scenarios. In debate, it's our case about the ritualistic reparation of death in competitive context.
Okay, and what does that cause? Like, are you saying that I'm going to go kill somebody? Like, what is the impact of this?
No. It makes you, you might not kill someone, but it makes people generally more violent and more likely to act on aggressive tendencies. That's the
And which evidence is specific to debate that says this?
The Bjork evidence is specific to debate that talks about this. The Van Dyke evidence talks about an academic study where academic students were presented with death images and.
All of this seems to suggest that voting negative is solved because you have done the same thing.
PerfCon is a separate question. The main impact is about the choice of avoidance. Our scenario is specifically what was triggered the moment the 1AC introduced death impacts. So the 1C's introduction of death impacts doesn't matter. If you didn't do death in the 1AC, we would not have done the same in the 1C.
That makes no sense. It seems like you just
this makes a lot of sense. You triggered the impact. Our reading of the impact is relevant.
Why does death make us less empathetic?
Why does death make us less empathetic? Sure. The Feldman evidence is about the founding evidence says that when we repeat death impacts in debate, it's about the same thing. We get desensitized from death because we engage with so much in a competitive context.
Yeah. I'm so confused how this is true. Debate has existed for hundreds of years,
Yes.
and people have had policy asks with death impacts for hundreds of years.
Yeah, and it's likely that many people were desensitized to death when they left the debate space. Many people were slightly more aggressive when they left debate. Before the one run, can I go for my water bottle?
Topicality, condo. The state's counterplan, sunset's counterplan, court's counterplan. You frame this out. The degrowth advantage, and then recruitment, or the jobs guarantee pay.
Give me that order one more time.
Yeah, topicality, so condo, then the three counterplans, states.
That is the order of the counterplans, please.
Oh, yeah, states, sunsets, and courts. And then the Ukraine Desad, the degrowth advantage, and then recruitment. Or JGP, same thing. Yeah, you're good. That's it.
Give me a sec.
Counter we did, or infinite condo and or no 2Z counter 2Z planks versus neglects the seed of fairness in terms of education by testing intrinsicness and disavowing risk aversion. Dispo makes absolutely too powerful moves contradictory counterplans and forces every counterplan to have the same premise as the affirmative. Second is arbitrariness. Dispo is illogical, kills opportunity cost testing, makes counterplan bad and affluent conditioning, and allows the judge to endorse the world worse than the status quo, which kills predictability. Now defense skew is inevitable by idea. In case speed, distance, and T next force firms and trade turning the net benefit checks, reject the argument, reject competing interpretations, evaluate whether condo in this way was abusive. Now the counterplans, not states, sunsets, and courts can see the permutations. We're not going for it. Reject all theoretical reasons or reasons to reject the argument. Not the team. The Ukraine decided when they concede the link defense, no risk of offense for them. Not going for it. The degrowth advantage. No impact in 3D printing. It can only produce small trinkets, and any large-scale military applications are impossible. They can't create a credible threat that adversaries would actually perceive and escalate on. That's the IAA evidence. Recruitment. Recruitment collapse outweighs for cell magnitude. It unleashes surging terror, WD extremism, and building Russian land grabs that trigger escalation when nuclear first. Defense is wrong and strong. Domestic base of ground forces create deterrence that checks escalation, that spawns. It's faster, that's Geopolitical. 23 recruitment numbers that is equivalent to the ranks acts early in 2025, and it's instant based on perception. That's Spencer to the claims of readiness and said the US or other world does not provide industries in the nation's election high readiness is to destroy the nation the best perseverance, and it destroys nuclear strikes. That's be fair 21 the nuclear conflict between Russia and China and the regional first Pandora's box of consequences of retaliate. In the second, deliberate the escalation nuclear and the answer robust forces in the adversary anticipated from attacking in the first place, and Russia's modernizing the US and ensure that they need to not short now. They say readiness is low now, but recruitment upholds it. It gives our military more flexibility to invest troops. There are two independent warnings. Firstly, is investments are paying off. That's strong mode. 23 investments are paying off. High readiness is higher. 60% of our force could deploy in 30 days. An example, when the Biden reacts to Russia's in evacuating the diplomats protect the power of military is reckoning. Secondly, is holistically, that's the modernization is happening on all frontier, but we need manpower. That's GAL 23. The US has enjoyed the under-challenge pressure on the US military to build resilience and modernizing the air and UD. So it's really sustaining the aircraft and the sea ships having some challenges included the shortage and maintained delays and increase in the readiness equipment to move out the rail 70% of the crew have been in high demand space. This is the door to strategy for US future operations. Now the counterplan generates uniqueness that offers guaranteed employment to anyone who serves in the armed forces. That's a huge incentive proving that their advantage and overcomes general hesitations. Now the plan devastates recruitment and job guarantees an economic alternative to all armed forces, creating a no-risk option that outcompetes enlisting. It removes the single largest predictor of the military sport that stay. Their cards are wrong. There are other independent buildings that disprove it. Firstly, is employment. The plan eliminates motive for recruits at section 20. The military is capitalized on the precarity and the lack of the options of job bucket and funding the links. We made the opportunity in the service checks a low income half of it all means only a job to DoD. And then America's employer. Second is demand. A job guarantee offsets demand for unskilled labor. That's March 20. JG increase in demand for the labor in the military is the biggest present demand for unskilled labor within the program order to produce the enlistees, and it's a direct replacement. That's Perky's 20 guarantee looks at the military and government is bidding for the material chunk of the youth force with all volunteer and the military recruitment. They got numbers to different from the JG. Now third is empirics. Empirics guarantees were staged by corruption. That's 10 and 18 though. GG, and the big tradition matches the governance with the RBA, BPA, is the WPA with OI, not to get the borders, upwards workers in military service. Now, the recruitment plan solves and increases opportunity and lowers the burdens to join. Now, the rest of the counterplan provides employment for members of the armed forces to solve enlistment and solve the case without avoiding the link to the recruitment is said. Now, the result is a fully employed economy, but guarantees are contingent upon military service use efficiency. The public compares the counterplan to the status quo, not the plan. Now, it definitely solves better. That's Bergen. 23 the service members are prepared for transition to civilian life and training, education, financial readiness, and health and effective, and veterans are more likely to graduate, 20% more likely in homeowners, and members of the military overcome the dedication and encourages self-awareness, and it overcomes all deficits. That's Edelman. 19 jobs guarantees and unintuitive when the people can't find what will work in recession, and JG automatically is characteristic of how you guarantee everybody in America in the government is managing millions of new positions and expanding the national service with free issues and expanded the direct relationship between the citizen government and federally funded marketplace for national service. Now, the other planks solve the case at best. The jobs guarantee helps transition, but we're conceding the full weight of mindset shift, which means that any action towards degrowth would throw a full-scale transition. The counterplan avoids recruitment, but it doesn't include a jobs guarantee. Universality is not key. The planks resolve all the fiscal policies necessary to shift the mindset, which is sufficient to change the minds of the people. In the most concentrated tech and finance industries, that was cross propensity for transition is high. That's Peterson. 21 the generation moving that 2008 signal the stability and the devastating and shock revolution transformation in the occupied the Arab movements and the BLM and the promise of socialism. The billions have been looking for expressing the millions of gradual study. The discussion with the decline of structure in humanity, it threatens to plunge the oblivion and down to rapid jets and rose capitalism. 6% in capitalism is 142% favorable in opinion of socialism. Global phenomenon racial equity already intended with the crisis getting the discontent and capital with the Roman divided U.S. monolistic capitalism divided. No object yet their evidence described. No, it's a re-highlight of their evidence which describes the process of implementation for how it happened. And enlistment is certain. It suits a military jobs guarantee. The key barrier is outreach with the counterplan reverses. That's Scott's order. 23 the track is to build an intention mark that card now. Permutation do both. It implements an unconditional jobs guarantee which links. Do the counterplan is severance jobs guarantees. It doesn't provide to everyone. That's MMN. 19 jobs guarantee and provide the law living wage and benefits in the concept dates back to the rules of several proposals in CCS and WPA. Mark the MMN evidence at many economies.
Degrowth. Transition. Assurance. Recruitment. Then decay.
Sorry, one more time, please.
Degrowth. Transition. Assurance. Recruitment. Then decay.
Alright, I'm good.
Okay, are we all good?
Give me 1 second. I'm good.
The US military uses geoengineering weapons. These arms races caused war between the United States, China, and Russia, which guarantees extinction. The 2NC defense is unresponsive, just says that geoengineering won't have too big of an impact on the environment, but our argument is that they use it against other countries, which draws in nuclear wars. Concede other defense we're not going for. Transition. The plan solves the combination of the taxes and the job guarantee forces the transition, and it also goes global. They dropped the Lockman evidence that says America's economy is intertwined, which means China and Russia's economy will slow down as well. Assurance. U.S. strength is bad, causes frontal nuclear war with Russia and China. That's Ross turns all of their scenarios. U.S. dominance decreases trade, decreases the liberal international order, and impact turns to recruitment. This outweighs and caps their impact. Only denying China and Russia's status as national on 19. SCS coming elections have a common denominator to assert their status, and few research suggests the efforts to first respond to backlash. The U.S. should reinforce efforts to achieve status instead of containment. Cooperation. Their evidence is unresponsive. The right evidence is highlighted nothing, and it's empirically denied because it's 4 years old. There are no internal checks on U.S. conflict that goes nuclear. There's no internal limit to aggression. U.S. destroying North Korea, Indochina, bombing countries, killing per capita, and Iraq used depleted uranium and maybe reduced richest countries to society in which slaves are sold. Movements are not strong enough to nuke, use straight turns, transition wars, including inevitable proliferation. 18. Peaceful change only like when the hegemon has confidence in economic capabilities, economic growth can redress relative decline. Hegemon leadership calculates and lacks growth. They can be resistance is futile. They've also conceded warrants and Ross that says hegemony decline is unsustainable and inevitable, which means that only restoring recruitment does not solve any of their impacts, which takes out uniqueness for their scenario. Empirics, China and Russia are not revisionists, but the United States is. Chan 21. During ascendancy, the U.S. acquires vast territory. Germany's acquisition is puny by comparison. China has largest number of land borders instead of nearly all favorable to its neighbors, such as September and Brazil, but the U.S. mined Nicaragua and quarantining Cuba. China has not had a single bullet in 30 years. By contrast, it's been under peaceful Obama 26,000 bombs. 2016, China's compliance with WTO is better than the U.S. The U.S. meddled in elections far more coup or invasion. China has not. The irony is the U.S. taped Merkel's requires mass surveillance and stacks that the U.S. more countries as a result of police. Palestinians or Native Americans in judging whether the U.S. is revisionist. They also did not take out of this disadvantage route. We will concede the link that the plan deletes all nuclear weapons. They've dropped the straight turn. They've conceded the Robinson evidence on the counterplan that says that nuclear war is inevitable unless the United States unilaterally gets rid of its nuclear arsenal, which means that we have an add-on that the counterplan cannot solve because their counterplan maintains the military, but only the affirmative ends nuclear weapons, which is necessary to solve their impact. Recruitment. The Piper evidence is about U.S. first strike, which our scenario definitively solves because we prevent American aggression and we also delete nukes entirely, so there's no chance of conflict. The counterplans definitively do not solve any scenarios because they maintain the military. They only read 2 cards in this debate about hegemony. We will win that hegemony is bad. The critique. Way to app versus decay to get links to the pan and epistemology and need to prove out solvency. Picks are also bad. Fairness outweighs. First, it's only valid intrinsic impact. Second, they rely on fairness. They put out drops. Due diligent live online and watch you evaluate their strong fairly. Third, it's an intrinsic good. Their impact is fairness. Which is the reason why violence is bad. Fourth, their issues on condo all prove that they agree with fairness. There's no app bias. Negative that's above. Picks out of universality. Taxes now supports to defend unorthodox economics, but their interpretation uniquely makes it impossible to be affirmative. Our term solves all of their offense. They can read links to anything. They just need a link and impact big enough. That way it will prove that we rely on the assumptions they criticize and why it comes prior. No balance solvency. First, all causes, school, family, friends. And it comes that way. Second, people internalize losses as technical failures and double down. Third, other round stop. No presumption. They dropped the app and solvency. Except permutation to both. Perfcon means we can sever our representations and our links. Negation theory does not apply because it means that their ethics are bankrupt. We committed manslaughter, but they've committed premeditated murder. The framing issue for all the evidence is that no card is about the debate. It's also empirically denied. Decades of debate has not caused it, and we know that debate is a game. Use empirical reality. First is that it's all non-unique. The cards are about representations throughout the world, which their interpretations does not solve. Second, either evidence has no qualifications, or it does not cite research, or those research are not replicable, which means you cannot trust it. Third, there's no alternative. Teams will read worse scenarios if they cannot talk about that. Things like infinite suffering, which magnifies violence. Impact on death priming triggers empathetic connection to other. We get this card because of the 5 new cards in the block, APS 16. Humans are fearful of death finality when morality is salient and spies decided with a positive legacy, reminding leaders from morality, encourage them to make better, less selfish decisions, death priming, increase desire to help other people connect with others, which produces beneficiaries to future others. Kevin, is there anything else? The repetition compulsion argument is unresponsive because we have one that death impacts are good, but it's also inevitable across outside of debate, which means there's no reason why the app uniquely causes it. It doesn't make the plan less likely because we think that the plan is a good idea and we advocate for it. The virtuic evidence is not specific to debate, and their evidence doesn't.
It's obviously not scientific.
And it's obviously not scientific because those studies are not replicable.
We had 6, I think 6. Channing, do you remember how much we have?
I have 654. I don't know if that's right.
654. Yeah, starting now. Just the death.
Okay.
Say that one more time.
It's just the death.
Literally didn't hear you. That was it.
I'll signpost, but it's not in linear order. It's framework at the bottom, the link stuff, form stuff at the top. So I'll just flip those halves.
Cool. Just tell me what you're doing.
Okay. Panel good. Peninsula.
Both negative reject the affirmative use of body counts as a market value to impacts one is chance and subjectivity. Yet the being fixed in politics is a permanent social relation which embeds negative stereotypes of minorities in group after derogation and fascist tendencies towards avoiding military intervention and other violent scenarios are to insist to any evidence as a body of empirical studies that conclude death based on similar causes prejudice, xenophobia, and psychological aggression and evidence is scientific and replicable in labs. Their falsifiability gives they don't like evidence to his case. Voting out makes the planet enactment less likely their model trains students to become habitually numb to suffering, producing a detached fascination where we treat impacts like nuclear war and famine as a token to exchange for balance. This produces sterile politics that reduces their willingness to engage in political change. Desensitization makes us less empathetic to individual trauma, turning the scenario to greenlighting mass extermination if you do demotivates action, turning their empathetic groups good and means affirmation of their speech act through the about makes the impacts of the case more likely before bureaucracy. The only author writing counter debate now bring the link debating here. The reputation servers that's voting issue for intellectual responsibility. Regardless, it makes no sense. We haven't advocated an alternative, so there's nothing to be new. Others yesterday said with their representations, PerfCon, the link is to the injunction of death impacts because that is what triggers the death reminder impacted by Artistonian Van Dyck evidence. The one sees reading of death post the one sees indication has no impact because the image had already been done. They did not have the choice of avoidance. If they didn't read death impacts, then we would have either this is not Hail Mary or Twinty evidence explicitly support this. Twinty Artistonian says that immediate engagement with the death stimuli triggers an instinctual outgroup tendency that mitigates their premeditated murder impacts. The sequencing issue, the case of Gateway, that first indicts their death representations. The rest of the one were secondary and intended to only prove rejoinder under their model to aid constitute our. The difference between us and them is that the tuner will advocate solely an ethical position while the tuner will not in the final speech after being introduced to the gay voting act is definitely worse for than voting negative if they cater their death representations than voting negative on presumption because they have no reason why the case is good. Absent death impacts if they win it. Now contradictions are also good. One is testing the first dogmas and more polemics and that's how any other considerations which consider contradictory ethical axioms because that's best to use ideological flex. That's the only way we can read a K and Catamount the same one as he which include bridges in community divides and community schisms. Now death threats inevitable is not responsive. One of our scenarios is about ritualistic repetition in the competitive context of debate that is supported by all of our twins. Evidence 2, if we're correct, then if we're correct about our impacts above, then it's not a reason to make debate more unsafe. 3 is the rule. Their claims attempt to exclude the balance of their performance here and now. Rejecting it is intrinsically valuable. 4 teams won't read more scenarios like Esferus, because our K also applies to suffering impacts. We force teams to run towards life-affirming impacts like biophilia. 5 is not unique there. Suffering up's good evidence because we achieve it from outside spaces. Now suffering up's good. This card they have no chance. 1 they produce 0 cards that is either about competition or to the repetitive nature of the debate in a context no matter the circumstances. We never disagree with the premise of empathy and respond to societal images of suffering, i.e. those that naturally arise as a result of crisis or tragedy. Though the death coaching debate is pervasive and makes us less empathetic when we leave the room because we've been habitually trained to view policy in terms of body counts and assume that it is natural for death to be constant and ever phenomenon. That there also have terminal defense to this evidence representing suffering in debate around system communication to any public or policymaker and lacks the agency necessary to actualize remedy material now framework counter direction. The affirmative was justified the framing as of its impacts and rights as a precondition to defending the effects of the plan. Solves the vast quantity of their offense by excluding tangential war picks and centering debate over the controversy brought over by the lengthy, either the death impacts are linked negates framework policy debates. The main for magnitude first for any risk means try or die, creates a compulsive rush to extinction and suffering impacts are model solves for affirmatives to justify the reading of their impacts on any prior to weighing the plan weaponizes competitive incentives, punishing those who refuse to change harmful pedagogical practices by handing them a loss. Now, the view framework is the question of model debate. We don't have to win this debate produces change. Rather, our model over the course of a season produces change. subject information is relevant. Our scenario is psychological condition, not subject information. And the subject information is a conscious process that their answers might apply to, whereas psychological conditioning is an unconscious process. Only we have read evidence that connects the way our minds process and interpret death images. From my studies conclude that death games and policy or impacts above. Now, fairness is meaningless absent pedagogical benefits. Debate is more than just a game. It's an education space where students spend hours researching a diverse literature basis. No paradox, no fairness paradox, no link. We don't think fairness as a value system is bad, whether its application to their model versus our model is bad. Your model is a pick out of their universal application of fairness. Meaning, debate is more than just a game. It's a justification for the pick. No ballot pick framework to the question of model. They must defend the merits of fairness over the course of season, not justice debate. The case is the impact of link and is a decisive voting which outweighs because it's external, whereas fairness is not, and will concede extinction is a big impact. If they're correct that debate is a game structured by competition, then vote negative to force Peninsula to be reflexive, claims about doubling down on technical losses or ethical blackmail. You can't hold us responsible for Peninsula pledging to be more violent in response to criticism. Condo answers do not apply. We made condo arguments there with education and research-based impacts that outweigh our model is link you lose. They've dropped defense. Now the F is equal opportunity to defend existential representations, and they get the case once they defend it proves we don't move the plan. There's an infinite number of impact scenarios. They have infinite rep to construct, which means after choice solves and they had infinite rep. It's also predictable. Rushing the biggest impact is strategic because it lets them say case outweighs, so they must accept the downside of our K of death reps. Anything else makes it a no risk option. When I see framing makes it predictable, they should be able to ready to debate it because they chose those impacts.
Seven something.
I believe it was 753.
753.
Okay.
Sure.
Thanks.
Waiting up because fairness outweighs data unfairness. They point out dropped arguments to diligent libel line, take out analytics spread. I want you to evaluate this not fairly. These are not rules of debate, but strategic decisions to maximize their chances to win. If they really wanted to combat death representations, it would be more ideal for them to exclude that altogether in 1 and C. It's also an intrinsic good dropped. Unfairness is the reason why death representations are bad, because it causes people to treat others unfairly, which means that it's an intrinsic good, so you should care about it as well. It's also the most valid intrinsic impact, extend that there's no norm setting which zeroes all of the offense, group all of the education offense. There's no norm setting because death impacts are inevitable. They cannot shape practices. Decades of debates all include death impacts. Debate impacts are necessary to win, and one debate loss will not change that. What double down and become even more psychopathic by researching why death impacts are good. This is not a blackmail, but instead is proven by previous examples of death cases that have not succeeded in changing minds and have only caused teams to research death impacts even more and defend them even more, which causes violence to accelerate. This means that all of the education stuff is non-unique. There's no explanation for how they can solve any of it, and you should not view this as a debate of models, but rather of this debate and the fairness you can solve with your ballot. They say that there's internally defense fairness, but it was a blip in the block and it was not clear, and Devin explained why the internal is massive, because the critique forces the one to Tracy to start from scratch, since we're not allowed to weigh the affirmative, which means that we have to have a whole set of new defensive representations. That's very difficult, even though we have a choice, because you can no longer weigh the consequences, and it's very easy to win any risk of a link means you vote neg, which means that it's very difficult to defend our ethics. Now, performative contradiction is the reason why our framework model is good, and has a few other implications. They did performative contradiction because they made death impacts, and they cause the same psychic violence and cause the same amounts of violence that we have. They say that the 1AC already happened, but this proves that death impacts are non-unique. Death representations already happen all the time, so there's no reason why our use of it was different in this debate. They say that there's a sequencing argument, but there's no evidence, and none of this evidence supports this sequencing argument. There evidence says that every exposure to death is bad, so there's no unique reason why the 1AC was less bad than the 1AC. They say that the 2NR is ethical, but this proves that severance of representations is okay. Group all of the proof-con good arguments. It may help ideological flexibility and negation theory, but none of that implies that we don't get to sever reps, and none of that implies that it doesn't disprove framework. There's a couple implications to winning performative contradiction. They've done it too, so we got to sever our reps. It's best for reciprocity. It also proves that there's no impact to severing reps, because they've done the same thing. It proves it's non-unique, which is just not bad at all, since they've also severed. We'll have to reduce non-death ecological to affirm life, and to affirm that people should have a job, and to affirm that people should have these things. This means that you do not vote neg on presumption, because the Hickel evidence has a job guarantee, and that degrowth is desirable for reasons outside of death. The second implication of proof-con is that it proves our framework offense. They ultimately care about winning this debate, about neg flex, and about fairness above crusading against death reps. 3 is that voting neg encourages more abhorrent practices. They've conceded that neg teams will just read death K and death impacts together in future debates, which means that they exacerbate that violence and still allow death impacts to continue. Now, we do not have to win framework, because I'm also going to impact turn their offense. The framing issues that only we have a chance of solving something, so the burden is high for the negative. Their impacts, violence, lack of empathy, and conflict on a much larger scale globally are all inevitable. Without death reps, violence will still occur. Even a small chance death impacts are good and motivate action means it's try or die for the because refusing to talk about death or proposals to counteract death means that things like climate change and equality, US aggression against other countries means those things are inevitable and will cause extinction, which they've conceded outweighs. Psychological claims that go against conventional thinking require extraordinary proof. The claims come out of conspiracy books. Death representations are good. Salience of death pushes people to want to build a positive legacy and causes people to make less selfish decisions. It also increases the desire to help and connect with others, which reduces violence, turning all of their offense. That's APS. Our evidence is best from the Association of Psychological Science and cites studies from real psychological scientists. The 1AR in that applies to their evidence. Only one of their authors is a psychologist. Reject the rest. Van Dyke says nothing, just that we want to strengthen, quote, strengthen our own group, end quote. But they presume impacts that pitted people against each other. They have no empirics and logical backing for their claims. It is illogical that talking about violence makes us desensitized, because we all still think that violence is bad, and there's a reason the impacts we read are death bad, not death good. No evidence about debate or competition. Turn out the evidence comparison is wrong. Harding and Tesloni are clear about death reminders in and out of debate. The Pejoric's evidence is all about rhetoric and cites zero studies or empirics, which means all of the impacts are non-unique. Tesloni is talking about any death reminder, and there's zero logical reason why death representations in a competitive environment have any different effect than elsewhere. Turnout didn't have a warrant, so you can't fill the gap in for them. Reputation compulsion is also wrong. It's empirically denied. The card isn't about competitive nature of debate, and while rhetorically powerful, it is unevidenced. This means that we do not make a case less likely, and the genocidal subjectivity stuff we've we've linked to, because only we can have a chance of splitting up and creating policymakers who are more effective at solving extinction, because it's try or die affirmative to create effective policymaking.
Next hard doc is set.
Thank you.